The recent years have been marked by a steady and dynamic growth and development of organic farming. The number of organic producers has been gradually increasing, as well as the number of organic farms producing organic food. The area of cultivated land has also been expanding. As a result, there are more and more organic products available on the market, and we are also observing a growing demand and increasing consumer interest. Organic food, healthy food, or natural food? What is the difference? Organic food, which is very important, is controlled and certified. It is marked with the organic farming logo. When we talk about natural, healthy, or traditional food, it truly has to be natural, meaning it cannot be produced using artificial food additives. Natural means that it consists of natural ingredients and is produced using natural methods. However, organic farming is a method of production that is additionally subject to verification and certification. Natural food is highly recommended because it does not contain artificial additives. These are usually less processed products, which are better for a daily diet. Consumer awareness is constantly growing, and many studies show that consumers are increasingly reading food labels when making everyday shopping choices. They choose products consciously, guided by their beliefs, care for the environment, and concern for their own health. During everyday shopping, it is especially important to pay attention to labels. A conscious consumer who reads the label will know exactly what they are buying. It is very important to remember that the food available on the market is safe. However, some products contain more additives, some are more natural, and some are organic. All of this can be found on the label, and thanks to that, we will know what we can choose and what we feel most like eating. On our farm, we grow vegetables in harmony with nature and according to the seasons. We grow, harvest, ferment, and then pack everything into jars, and that ends up on people's tables. The tradition of fermenting in our family began a long time ago with my grandfather Stefan and grandmother Zosia. My grandfather settled in the Buckwheat Valley just after the war. Once he settled, he received many orders for oak barrels. He began making barrels for fermentation because, back then, everyone around was fermenting. Grandfather and grandmother had a farm, and one year they had an abundant cucumber harvest. They thought, why not try fermenting them too? Over time, they began fermenting not only for themselves, but for the whole neighborhood. Later, they had 2 sons. One of them is my father, and of course, they also carried on the tradition. Now, each of them has 4 children, and the Schneider family is still fermenting. We have proudly continued this unbroken tradition of 65 years of fermenting in the Buckwheat Valley. I was born on this farm, and you could say I had no choice. I spent my whole childhood among cucumbers and also in cabbage fields. In our family, my grandmother and grandfather traditionally fermented cabbage and cucumbers. Of course, each generation started adding something of their own. My parents, in addition to fermented cabbage and cucumbers, introduced fermented cabbage juice. And what we, the 3rd generation, have added is the fermentation of a whole spectrum of vegetables, all the ones that grow in our fields. So now we ferment cauliflower, radishes, red cabbage, white cabbage, and even whole cabbage heads for stuffed cabbage rolls. We also introduced fermented root vegetables, such as beets, carrots, and celeriac. From celeriac, we make a delicious fermented juice as well. And the biggest hit on our farm? That would be fermented garlic. It is extremely important to us that we ferment vegetables we grow ourselves, because we know they are cultivated in harmony with nature, without pesticides, without chemical treatments. Most importantly, they are natural, full of healthy vitamins, and grown in rich, fertile soil. And thanks to that, they ferment beautifully. Every year, I am amazed by the process of cabbage growing. From a tiny seed the size of a poppy seed, we watch it develop. At first, we call it the cabbage nursery. Then we have the preschool, which we transplant into the field. Finally, from that tiny seed grow huge round heads of cabbage, which we later harvest, shred and ferment. We ferment using the traditional method, through spontaneous natural slow fermentation. This means we do not stimulate the process with bacterial culture starters, nor do we fake fermentation with vinegar additives or chemical agents. We simply allow nature to take its course. It turns out that when cabbage begins the fermentation process on its own, the diversity of lactic acid bacteria strains reaches into the thousands. And we are not just talking about billions in quantity, which we do have, but about the enormous variety of strains. That is incredibly valuable, because each strain has different benefits. One supports immunity, another boosts mood, fights depression, cleanses the body. These are truly amazing natural probiotics. It is very important, in addition to sowing and planting, to regularly check how the vegetables are growing, lifting the row covers and making sure everything is all right with the seedlings. They are, of course, protected under the fabric from frost, but we need to make sure everything is growing well. Sometimes diseases or pests appear, so it is also a chance to react early. When we grow vegetables, we care not only for the plants, but also for the soil. The soil is the most precious thing we have. It is passed down from generation to generation. It is very important that it remains fertile and continues to produce healthy vegetables every year. That is why we cultivate the land using several old and traditional methods, such as crop rotation and green manure. We fertilize only with natural fertilizers, because only healthy, fertile soil can give us vegetables full of vitamins, and good, healthy vegetables ferment wonderfully. It is very easy to recognize a truly natural fermented product. When you open the jar, the lid should be slightly domed, which is the first sign of surprise. You should hear a gentle hiss, and if you see bubbles rising in the brine from bottom to top, that is a sign that the jar is alive, that there is life inside, with living probiotic bacteria. Such a fermented product is full of them. It is healthy, the fermentation has not been stopped, and you can enjoy it just as it is. Fermented vegetables have very rightfully earned the title of superfoods. They are packed with valuable health benefits, mainly thanks to probiotics, the abundance of lactic acid bacteria that support our health, our immunity, our well-being, and even our desire to live. Fermented foods can and should be eaten every day. We are happy that we have so many different flavors, because honestly, the diet would be quite boring if we had to eat only sauerkraut and pickled cucumbers every day. But with so many colors and flavors to choose from, it is impossible to get bored, and at the same time we are providing our bodies with essential minerals and nutrients that fermented vegetables offer. I receive an enormous amount of energy when I see people laugh while tasting our products. When they try them, enjoy them and say that it is truly delicious. I feel happy because I have influence over the whole process, from the seed to the jar. We are involved in every step from beginning to end. This kind of work gives me purpose, and I do not treat it as a job separate from life. This is my life, and I love it.
Organic food is developing at a rate of about 5 to 10%, depending on the year. We experienced a significant increase in organic food consumption at the beginning of the COVID pandemic, when all Poles felt the need to buy more consciously in stores and became more interested in their health. Then in 2022, there was some slowdown, but by 2023, 2024 and 2025, everything in Poland has got back on track. The market actually began to develop around 2004, when Poland joined the European Union and the regulations regarding certified organic food became organized and regulated. Currently, the total value of the retail organic food market is around 1.6 billion zlotys, which accounts for approximately 0.5% of the entire food market. This 0.5% is, of course, a huge increase compared to what it was 20 or even 10 years ago. We expect that within a few years, we will be able to reach 1%, which would effectively mean doubling the market size. Regulation of this market is very important because in 2010, the European Union introduced a single logo called the Euro leaf. Thanks to this, all organic products, whether labeled bio or organic, are marked in the same way. Within the European Union, it is no longer possible to sell food that is not properly labeled. This means that no product can be called organic unless it is produced by organic methods and subject to certification systems. If someone writes the word organic on food and it is not a certified product, it is immediately removed from the market and such products have no right to exist. In our offer, we have around 6,000 products, of which, in our packaging facilities, we pack about 1,000 products. These include 200 types of raw materials, such as breakfast flakes, dried fruits, various kinds of nuts, seeds, legumes, as well as superfoods.
When we started our sales activity with organic products, there were relatively few of them compared to what we have now. Today, this industry actually covers every product one can imagine. Back then, the most popular products were things like millet groats, spelt flour and barley flakes. Now we sell many more products, around 1,000, including dried fruits, nuts, flowers, as well as fresh vegetables and fruits. Among the products that have recently appeared and become particularly trendy is almond flour, which we practically add to almost every recipe, especially those included in the keto diet. It is a very popular product. Additionally, pistachios are also a product that now dominates store shelves. All of these products can be said to have a health-promoting basis. And we are very happy that such products are fashionable and that we can sell them to customers. An example of a product that has returned to Polish tables is millet groats and buckwheat groats. These are products that were widely used in the past, then forgotten for some time, and now they are coming back to the tables, and one could say they are ruling.
Organic food is produced at a higher cost because chemical sprays and chemical pesticides are not used. There is much more manual work involved, such as hand weeding. Additionally, the scale of production, the size of farms, and the scale of processors are much smaller than in conventional counterparts. This means that food is produced on smaller machines and on a smaller scale, which also slightly increases its costs.
I think that people's attitude towards the products offered to them has changed a lot. Fresh food like fruits, vegetables, flowers, dried fruits, nuts and seeds have become very much desired in my kitchen. Now I see that more and more people pay attention to what ingredients products contain, whether they have any additives, colorings, or other extra substances, which are largely forbidden in organic food.
The taste of honey reminds me of my childhood, of summer vacations, and working in the apiary. But besides honey, I also remember the smell of dried flower pollen, because the flower pollen that we collect from bee colonies also needs to be dried. That scent stays with me and helps me return to my childhood memories. The work of a beekeeper is very complex. Contrary to what some might think, it is a hard profession that requires a great deal of effort, knowledge, and understanding. After all, a small insect creates a large bee colony consisting of tens of thousands of bees. So we are dealing with a living organism that needs care and, like any living being, has certain functions and various behaviors for which we are responsible. For nature, for us, and for humans, bees are the most important insects. In Poland, there are about 450 species of different wild pollinating insects, including honeybees. The honeybee is the only species that we have domesticated, and it is essential for us to be able to enjoy nature, biodiversity, and health. Bees, in a way, feed us, because the work of bees is the foundation of food production in the world. Approximately 75 to nearly 80% of the food we consume every day exists thanks to pollinators, thanks to the work of bees. The second important aspect is feeding the bees themselves, that is, bee products. Bees are the only insects whose products of labor we consume. Thanks to this, we have access to wonderful products like honey and other bee-derived products, which have health benefits and positively affect our bodies. That's why it is worth reaching for them, as they fit well into any type of food product. Honey is made from the nectar of flowers that the bees behind us work so diligently to collect, or from so-called honeydew, which forms on certain types of plants, such as coniferous or deciduous trees. In short, bees bring the nectar to the hive, add their enzymes, and thanks to these enzymes, the nectar is transformed into honey. Enzymatic reactions take place there, breaking down complex sugars into simple sugars, glucose and fructose. Of course, the honey is also rich in these enzymes added by the bees, which are biologically active and keep the honey a living product. Bees carry the nectar in a special stomach called the honey stomach to the hive, store it in the cells of the honeycomb, and then subject it to a process of transformation and drying, which means evaporating the excess water. This process thickens the nectar, and after some time, when the enzymatic reaction has progressed dynamically, we have honey. One characteristic sign that the bees know that the honey is ready is when they seal the honeycomb cell with a wax cap. At that point, we have real, true honey. Honey gives us unlimited possibilities. In fact, bee products as a whole are exceptional in their class. They are unique food products with health-promoting qualities and properties. Although honey is most often talked about, other bee products such as pollen, propolis, bee bread, royal jelly, or even beeswax are raw materials that offer us incredible possibilities and health benefits. The more we delve into them, learn about them, and as science explores new solutions, even broader possibilities for the use of bee products open up before us.
The idea for honey and for the company was born in childhood. Together with my brother, we were introduced to the world of bees, and in fact developed a love for bees and bee products from our grandfather and parents. They always had an apiary, and this tradition has continued until today. It all really started with honey. These are products I believe in and that we continuously test. Together with scientists, we study and develop our products in a way that preserves their properties, because honey is truly a wonderful product with versatile benefits. We create many different products across various categories. We are probably the largest company in Poland that offers bee products in this way. We thoroughly analyze and test the raw materials, striving to ensure the highest quality not only for bee products but also for grains, fruits and nuts. Everything is carefully selected and subjected to regular quality control tests. Today, our offer includes not only honey and bee products, but also a wide range of healthy snacks, breakfast products, energy bars, granola, all of which maintain their health-promoting properties. The innovativeness of our products lies in the fact that every product in our offer contains a bee product in its composition. Natural Polish honeys, bee pollen, propolis, which acts as a very nourishing antifungal and antibacterial substance, as well as bee bread that enriches the body with health-promoting ingredients. Everything we do here, we do with passion. Passion for nature, passion for bees, but above all, there is truth in it, and we strive to convey what we have in our hearts.
Polish honeys have their own character, taste, and aroma. Generally, honeys from around the world differ from each other in flavor, color, aroma, scent, and consistency. This is because they are harvested in different geographical latitudes, which fundamentally influence the character of these honeys as well as other bee products. Their biological activity varies because each geographical region has different plant life and climatic conditions. In short, it can be said that what nature offers is captured in the jar. In Poland, there are generally 7 charismatic main types of honey, besides the common multiflower honey: acacia, linden or lime, buckwheat, honeydew, heather, and of course, rapeseed honey. Polish honeys are highly valued in Europe and neighboring countries, especially honeydew and linden honey. Interest in these products is growing, and more resources are sought within this product group to use in the pharmaceutical and medical industries for finding solutions to combat many civilization diseases. Every honey that is natural comes straight from the bees and is a healthy honey. The bee acts as a natural filter, a biomarker of environmental purity. If bee products come from the hive and we reach for them, they are definitely products that are healthy and good.